What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to preview round 18. It's Port Adelaide versus the Gold Coast Suns at People First Stadium this Sunday at 12:40 p.m. It's going to be a massive game for Port Adelaide and Gold Coast in particular as well, as this one will set up a feisty clash for top 8 credentials. Port Adelaide obviously sitting 6th and Gold Coast just sitting outside the 8 at the moment. And if they're going to want to play finals this year, the Gold Coast Suns, they have to win this game, or it's just about done for them, you'd think. And Port Adelaide are the same if they want to keep cementing their spot in the finals race and also keep their credentials up and want to win with the tough run home. This is a game they must win as well. It's crucial, this match, and I'm looking forward to it this Sunday. So let's get straight into it and preview round 18. This one is, still feels so far away, but this is an 8-point game. Gold Coast win this, they stay in touch with the 8. If Port Adelaide win this, they're still in touch with the top 4 and also keeping themselves clear enough for a finals berth. And I speak about the tough run home. Port Adelaide play the likes of Freo away, Sydney at home. I think they got Richmond the week after. There's a showdown in there as well. There's Carlton away. Like, there is games of football to be played for Port, and they must win some games. And obviously with finals and the question mark around Port Adelaide and last week's great performance against the Dogs, this one feels like there's a big if about it. If Port Adelaide bring their A game this week, I think they beat Gold Coast. But then they're playing away from home. Gold Coast are at home and are unbeaten at home this year. They are such a different side. So I think for Gold Coast to have the same sort of storyline they've had for the last couple of years now, they win a lot from home and they don't win away. They just miss out on making the 8, finishing 10th or 11th, and they're a couple of games out. It's a similar storyline again, and Damien Hardwick has his work cut out. He said last week in his press conference, things have to change and they have to grow up. Essentially, I'm not going to quote for it, but they have to grow up. And this is what scares me about Gold Coast this week, is if they get that sort of messaging and it comes from a coach that has credentials, which can win finals and win big games and win, obviously, premierships, up against Ken Hinkley, who has not much of a finals credentials, and Port Adelaide seem to respond, and I don't want Port to be comfortable with their performance last week against the Dogs. And this is such a big game, and for me, it's the ugly win against St Kilda. Yes, it's the Dogs win that we have that is smothers some cracks with some wallpaper over the top, but it's this one for me. This is the one. You're away from home against a side that just doesn't get beaten at home. You beat the Gold Coast Suns. You go into next week against the Tigers. You should win that. You're 4 wins on the trot then. And I don't want to look too far ahead because this is very much a 1 week at a time type operation now. But it's just a massive game. It's an 8-point game, and I'm really, really hoping we bring our A game this week and really put our foot down on it. The history with Gold Coast is we haven't lost to them since the first time we played them in 2011, which we lost at Amy Stadium at home. And that is buried in the memories of all Port Adelaide fans. But ever since, we just haven't lost to them at all. We have a good track record at People First Stadium as well. So is it those records that come into play here? I'm not sure. We seem to enjoy playing on the Gold Coast. Obviously, we've spent quite a bit of COVID into 2020 there and everything like that. So there's a lot to play out here. There's a lot of this game is 2 years ago, if you said Port v Gold Coast, it's a nothing game. No one's watching it. This one has a lot of interest power about it and will shape a lot of seasons. We get into the selection part of things. Gold Coast will be missing Touk Miller this week, which is a very big bonus because that running power and that gut running and what he brings to the table, Touk, is amazing. So it's a big loss for them. You definitely see players coming in for them, though. They do have a couple out. We're looking at the likes of Fiorini's, playing a blinders in the quaffle at the moment. You look at Jed Walter to come in. Sam Day's not going to play for them, so you could see a couple of those come in. Alex Davies as well. Jared Witts is one that is going to need a fitness test to play. If he misses, that's a big win, I think, for Jordan Sweet to come up against Ned Moyle. but I still think he can match it with Jared Witts anyway. But it's just, any sort of advantage you can take going into a game of footy you have, and a selection table is the first instance where you can gain that. Obviously, we lose Mitch Georgiadis, which is a massive loss considering he's our best goal kicker at the moment, which means we now have to rely on Todd Marshall, Ollie Lord, and Jeremy Finlayson, which are just a bag of Skittles, and you just don't know what you're going to get. But also Charlie Dixon could come back in. If we were going to keep that sort of structure going, Dixon does come back into the side and probably mean that he plays a second ruck role more so than Finlayson, which I wouldn't mind at all. We've seen it before against the Gold Coast Suns, if Dixon doing that. So the chances of Dixon playing, and obviously I'm recording his pre-selection, about 65% I would put my money on at the moment. 65% more than likely considering the circumstances, and it would allow Dixon to come in, prove a point. If he plays better than Ollie Lord, Georgiadis will come back in next week and Ollie Lord will go out. It's as simple as that. I'm hoping Todd Marshall kicks some goals for his sake. Otherwise it could be a Todd Marshall out because he hasn't hit any sort of rain at the moment. So it's an interesting sort of faction happening. We could completely turn that around and go Rioli for Georgiadis and play a bit smaller, which again I wouldn't mind either. The back line of the Gold Coast Suns is always pretty solid with Ballard and Collins, so having a bit of a smaller unit down there, along with Evans and who else kicked goals last night? Horn Francis, with Meady taking a bit more of a midfield role. You can have those left field options and definitely create some more opportunities on the ground as well. So there's a lot to play out at selections, and I don't know what we do. If it wasn't for Georgiadis getting suspended, I would go in unchanged. As simple as that. I don't know what's wrong with Rioli. He was going to play Sample last week and just ended up proving me wrong in my preview, and I said he'd guaranteed play and didn't play anything. So it's an interesting faction, what's going on there with him, but if he does play this week, then going smaller wouldn't be a bad thing. But a lot to see and a lot to play out, I think, with this one. Should be the easiest selection of the week, of the year, I should say, but it just isn't with Port, is it? So we'll see how that pans out, but it's a big game, so hopefully we get this one right. And finally, my tip for the game. I feel pretty confident about this one. I think the Dogs game certainly sent a bit of a message to say we've turned a corner. I hope it's not a one-off. I hope we play another four-quarter performance. I think it'll be scrappy. Our Gold Coast games are always pretty close, so I wouldn't mind betting we get the job done, and I'll say around 13, 14 points. Your 2-goal mark will be a close game, and especially up there's always something around the corner. So hopefully that is the case, and we end the record of being unbeaten up there with beating Gold Coast. So hopefully that is the case, and by that I mean we beat Gold Coast, their record. We don't lose our record because I just do not want that happening. But that's my tip. I think Port will get the job done. Well, Port fans, that is a preview for round 18. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts about this one. It's going to be good. It's going to be interesting and a lot to play out. It's a massive, massive game. So hopefully we can bring the power and block out the sun. It's terrible. But anyway, make sure you subscribe to the channel for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Anthony, and as always, kind of bad.